Joining me now to discuss it all, Karl Rove, former senior advisor to former President George W. Bush, also a Fox contributor. Karl, always great to see you.
Thank you, Jackie. Great to see you.
So one of the things today in that presser was President Biden talking about the media, essentially reporting that the shelves are empty. And then he said that the shelves weren't empty and that, you know, we were going to get everything that we needed for the holidays. But he used the example of Cabbage Patch Kids, if you can remember that, when they were just very difficult to get because of the demand out there for them. Two very different situations, very different storytelling here. And the president is not speaking the truth. Your thoughts?
Well, he was not being accurate when he said, look, we are responsible, he said, at the White House for solving this problem by getting the ports and the longshoremen unions to agree to work 24 hours. The ports were trying to get to that agreement with the unions for months, and the administration played no significant role in bringing that about. Look, what have they done? They issued a report in June from the White House calling the supply chain problems, quote, transitory, same word that they apply to inflation. They talked in that report about coffee and cars and toilet paper and showed examples of how those industries were dealing with the supply chain issues, and then said, you know, we can take dramatic measures like we did to help Japan after the 2011 earthquakes and after we did in one other situation involving a foreign country. But what have they done here at the United States?
Well, it's a good question. It's one that I've asked often over and over again, Karl. You know, it's interesting because he also talked about this progress that the administration was making, and Edward alluded to it. He was saying that, you know, the dates that ships were sitting at the ports was dropping, and that might be true, but at the same time, the goods aren't getting to the shelves when people need them, and people are hoarding items, for example, that they think they might not be able to get later, which only kind of exacerbates this problem. And he's taking no responsibility for it. In fact, he's standing there and saying, I'm doing such a great job here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what's the plan? We don't know what the plan is because they've never laid out a plan. Who's in charge of this issue? Who is the supply chain czar? They have a supply disruption task force. I dare you to name me a member of it or point to an instance other than their written July or June report of them saying anything about this issue. Is the National Economic Council in charge of this issue? Are they the ones calling together meetings of everybody? Is it the Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, who disappeared for 4 or 6 weeks on maternity leave and didn't bother to tell the country or designate an operating officer in his place at DOT? Is it the Treasury Secretary? She's nowhere around this issue. Is it the Commerce Secretary? No, there's nobody in charge of this except the President and Ron Klain, and they're not doing anything. That's why they cannot lay out a plan.
He could put Kamala Harris in charge of it the way he did with the border, and we know that she wouldn't be anywhere to be found either. But having said that, you know, inflation, Karl, we've been talking about it. You and I have been saying it is not transitory when these prices move up like this. It takes a very long time for them to come down, if they ever do. And in fact, Jerome Powell acknowledged the fact 9 months later, since this problem started, that inflation is not transitory. Listen.
How long does inflation have to run above your target before the Fed decides maybe it's not so transitory?
I think it's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean.
Okay, so it's time to retire that word. The market certainly didn't like that. President Biden talking about it today, and he was asked about, he was compared to the Nixon and Carter administrations when they faced some inflation problems as well. He said this is very different because we're in the middle of a pandemic and the labor force is working with the corporations. And you could say that's one way, Karl, right? The corollary to that would be the labor force is demanding higher wages. The corporations are paying them at their expense, and that's only going to exacerbate the problem.
Absolutely. Look, we knew it was not going to be transitory when we saw the pattern of increases. Take, for example, energy. When President Biden came into office, we were actually seeing deflation. January of 2021 over January of 2020 was about a 3.5% decline in gasoline prices. It's up 36% since the beginning of the year. You look at food, you look at energy, you look at housing, all of these things have been rising year over year, and they're pretty dramatic increases, as you indicated earlier.
Yeah.
And so the administration saying transitory it's no longer credible. And then again, what's the plan? What are they going to do to wring it out of the system?
Yeah, and I will just remind Americans that oil prices are down roughly 20% from their October high, and that is very substantial, but you're not seeing that at the pump, and it has nothing to do with his SPR release because it's so minimal in this equation. As Edward pointed out, this really has to do with the fact that the markets are worried again about demand problems with respect to the administration and its policies and Omicron.
Absolutely. There's a big reason why the markets are down, and that is because the president said, don't worry too much about this, and it caused us thereby to worry. The administration, again, is making the problem worse, not making the problem less problematic for the American people.
Karl Rove, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jackie.